Hello, I just wanted to make a quick video about some observations that I made in person and on the internet. And it is the phenomenon of person B getting mad at person A for seeing person B problems, faults. Okay, this is a possible scenario. Person A goes to a car mechanic, auto shop, okay, brings his car in. Let's say a Toyota Prius. Let's say he brings his Toyota Prius to the Toyota dealer, okay? And car mechanic person B takes that car and drives the car with someone else together, another Prius, together to a remote place where they switch the batteries at the computer system. Well, this actually happened to us. So they weren't, nobody could, my husband complained, but they denied this, of course. We didn't have any evidence, we didn't have camera, we just knew all that stuff was replaced because it wasn't working anymore after we got the car back. So instead of fixing the problem that we had in the beginning with the car, we had more problems. But welcome to the United States, right? So anyway, let's say this scenario would play out like this. Let's say he would have taped it with a hidden camera, okay? And then the guy would be confronted with that evidence, with the camera, of course. Then he'll probably say, well, it's Photoshop. They just made that up just to get me in trouble. Yeah, like person A would just go through all that trouble, right, to get person B in trouble. So like, wasting all of his time to do this with the evidence. But so whatever the evidence would be, person B would deny it as much as he can. He would lie to the utmost just because he doesn't want to lose his job. So then somebody, or in the helping with this whole process, lawyer or something, would find out that clear evidence the person lied, and they have the evidence here that he lied, barefaced lied to his boss. Okay. So now the boss gets mad at him for lying and tells him that he lied and he should have taken responsibility and he should have admitted, or he should have not done this fraud in the first place, this whatever that's called, fraud or felony or whatever, theft. Theft means nothing in this country. It's like you have to do it 3 times in order to face some responsibilities. So anyway, what happened now in this scenario, person B will get real mad at person A for person B lying. So person B is getting mad at a person A because person A initiated a process in which person B's lies have come to the surface. So person B is basically mad at person A for himself lying. This is weird, isn't it? Someone mad at someone else because of his own faults. And this type of scenario plays itself out in the world, and particularly in this country, the United States, on a daily basis by the millions, maybe billions. It plays itself out over and over and over again. And the person's holding the other cheek, person A, who had the problem with whatever, whatever it was, car mechanic situation or anything else. I don't even want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, of the stuff that we have experienced. But I'm sure other people can relate to this. But it was like, it's like a basso continuo throughout my husband's life. You know, I came to the United States when I was 26, so I have lived under a dome of security before that. I had no idea what was going on in this country. I came to the United States to do primotherapy, and little did I know what was coming once I would encounter the world beyond the primal training center. And well, my first experience, this is a funny one, my first encounter with the real world beyond the primal training center. I had a bike and I rode my bike to the center every day, and one day I was on my way to the center on Venice Boulevard, and a guy opens his van door just before I got there, and I was full speed, and I flew in a somersault all the way in a huge circle up and above that door and above my own bicycle, and then I fell on top of my own bike. And luckily I didn't get hurt, neither did my bike get damaged, which was quite remarkable because it was quite a dramatic free fall, I would say. And the guy says to me, "Are you okay?" And I was pretty shaken up and angry, and I said no, and he closed his door real fast and drove off. It's a hit and run situation. So I took my bicycle in the middle of the road, by the way. I could have been run over. And I took my bicycle, I walked over to the curb, and I was like 26 or 27. And I was angry and crying, and there's this old lady, like 85 years old, coming towards me with, I don't know how old she was, but she looked very old, and she looked like she was like, had her hair all done, like tucked up, and with hairspray in it, and makeup, and really tacky clothing. And I remember this real tacky, old-fashioned clothing type, like silk type of clothing. And she came towards me with a real weird expression on her face, like she's accusing me of crying. So she like already comes to me with this attitude of blaming me, and I just couldn't believe it. You know, I just had an accident on the road, which was not my fault, and I was angry and crying about this, and disappointed and hurt emotionally about this guy caring so little about another living being. And this woman comes towards me with her forefinger, and she says, she didn't even, first she says, "What happened?" in a real angry way. So I told her what happened. And then she says to me, "You need to repent to Jesus. And if you don't repent to Jesus, you will go to hell." And so, hello, United States. That was my first encounter with the world outside the center. I had no idea it was that bad. And that was LA, baby. You know, LA, the multicultural society, you know. But now I happened to come across a white trailer trash old fogey lady who had to do her Pentecostal sermon on me. So, okay, and obviously there must be a lot of those. There's a lot of Pentecostal churches there. Even my psychiatrist went to one of those, and she told me very negative things about the folks there. But yet she felt the need to go there, which I think is sad. She could have gone to the Hindu temple instead, would have gotten a lot more out of it. Or the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo Buddhism, or any of the other Buddhist groups. There were also Zen Buddhist groups. I mean, there's all kinds of different groups in LA that people could join. Why go to a Pentecostal church and then wear a cross around her neck? And I said, why are you wearing the cross around your neck? And she says, oh, this is just for fashion. Nobody wears a cross for fashion around their necks unless they're somewhat trying to fit into that church community. So, because it's a torture instrument, folks, don't wear torture instruments around your neck. What about a guillotine? You want to, or a spike mask? That's what they used in the Middle Ages. Wear a little spike mask around your neck, or a spike collar with the spikes sticking into your neck. I mean, yeah, how far do you want to go? I mean, yeah, I guess some people do it. Some people put needles into their bodies and carry that around like jewelry. Okay. Because the cross, that's just, in my opinion, that's just the epitome of pitifulness that exists. So yeah, so that was my encounter, and I have to rant right now. I have to do it. This is my therapy. I have to get all of this out, because I want people to become aware of this. I want people not to run through their lives being in a complete fog. You know, all these realtor people that we know, they see this all from one side. You know, they're completely one-sided in their view. One of our realtors, he's totally against solar panels. You know, it's like, man, listen, solar panels is what's gonna save all of us, okay? It's gonna save us. It's a wonderful technology, and you hate it because your peer group hates it, because someone else in their peer group hates it, because someone else hates it, and because someone else hates it. No thinking, just downloading, right? Stop doing this. Start thinking, start reading information, and get out of this peer pressure cycle that is endless, that continues on and on and on and on. And that applies to all religions that are that extreme. Okay? Stop doing it and start thinking. Okay? Please. The entire Western society is based on a shame-based philosophy. It's children are brought up with shame, and the parents don't even know. They don't even realize that that is what they're doing to their children. They're raising them with fear of judgment. They're raising them with feeling like there are sins. And I want to tell you something. Even in Europe, even though Europe is vastly non-religious now, there are still the rudiments, it's still some old relics of psychology from the evangelical church embedded into that society. Okay, I see it over and over again. I see it with my mother. I see it with other people from Germany I talk to once in a while, and I see this. They still have hold the other cheek mentality. They still have this, well, when somebody acts bad, we need to cater to that person. They still have this shame, you know. It's like, although it's a whole lot better, they're like on 10 levels higher than the United States when it comes to shame, because in Germany, for example, they have nudist beaches all around the Northern Sea and the the part of the that used to be the Soviet Union, the Northern Sea. I don't know. I think it's called the Baltic Sea, Ostsee. They call it Eastern Ocean. And they all have nudist beaches all over the place. Like, there's only a few beaches where you have to wear a swimsuit, because that's for I guess, the tourists from out of the country. Yeah, so here in the United States, boobs have to be like diffused in the videos. You know, the picture has to be diffused, so you can't see the contours of the nipples. And that is a clear sign of a shame-based philosophy. And it is incredibly awful. And that's one thing that I really agree with Rodney Smith when he said, don't tell somebody shame on you. He says that is one of the worst things somebody can say to someone, is like, shame on you. You know, that's what parents often say to their children, shame on you, or go in the corner and be ashamed. So thank goodness we all have risen above that now, above telling kids to go in a corner and be ashamed, or hitting them with iron rods or something. I'm glad they got over witch burning now. So that was a very horrific era in history. But we can do better than we're doing right now, right? I mean, there's a lot of things to improve. It is not perfect at all. And if people stagnate and if they don't pay any attention, believe me, it can unravel itself back, just like a loose thread in a sweater that can unravel itself back out. And then you have to knit it all over again. And that can happen very easily. It's not like whatever we've achieved is now standing on a cement foundation. It can look at the Middle East. They are several hundred years back in philosophy. They have a lot of knitting to do mentally and sociologically. So if we don't continue to grow, then things can go backwards, and very quickly, because people will be whatever, they will go back into superstition, they will go back into the religion, they will go back into the fear, because the fear and all of this is still there. We haven't dissolved it yet. And in South America, there are people again who do witch burnings. This is an alarm. This is an alarm flag for all of us. Okay? Some people in South America, some Christians, who burn people who they just have somebody declare them a witch, and this is the same as happened in Europe a couple hundred years ago. Someone declares them as a witch because they collected herbs, and they burn them alive. They pour gasoline over them and burn them alive. This is not okay. This is something we all need to wake up to. This is something that can happen everywhere on the planet, these things, and if it happens there, we have to be very, very, very aware and alert. Not to give in to this. Not to say, oh well, let me adapt so that nobody will hurt me. I'll just adapt, I'll just blend in, and I'll just give in to this, hold the other cheek so nobody will hurt us, you know, like hide. And no, that's not how society wakes up. That's not how society moves ahead. Okay? Society moves only ahead through people who stand up for the truth and who speak out publicly about this. And my husband earlier again, don't make a video when you're upset, okay? Right now, I may be upset, but I have these trains of thoughts, and if I don't make the video, the trains of thoughts will get lost and dissipate somewhere, and I won't remember what I wanted to say. I woke up with this train of thought today, so I have to capture it. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I want to bring awareness to other people, to pay more attention to these things and not live life in a fog, in front of the computer or the TV, in front of entertainment programs. Okay? I want people to become more aware, not duck away into video gaming and just ducking away into another world. That is the most intellectually dishonest thing to do. That is being a complete, just a klutz burden on society. You know. Wake up, get out of this addiction behavior, or drug addiction is the same. You know. Get out of it, take responsibilities for your own lives. And that's what I want to say to the person who I had just recently, that negative encounter of lack of taking responsibility. Take responsibility for your lives, people. Take charge of your lives. Pay attention. Pay attention to when someone else does something wrong. There's a lot of people who would never, I don't want to get involved, you know. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get involved. Okay, this is exactly why we're having dictators take over. Why this is why Kim Jong-un is in power. Okay, because nobody wants to get involved. Nobody wants to take that risk. There's the people who take a risk to save someone else. And there was this guy in the North Korean prison camp who said, "I love you," to this one other guy. "I want you to be free. Come, we go." And he threw himself over the electric fence and died, and in order to let the other guy climb over him and get free. And this other guy, I forgot the name, he wrote books now about this, and he feels real bad. I know that's not a bad person. That is just a normal person with a normal brain who had been brought up in that prison camp, who had not known anything else, and who was just extremely miserable, and things happened that he is very guilty about. I let him tell his story in a book, and so there was this friend he had who gave his life to him to let him free. And these people, those are the heroes, but they shouldn't just be these rare heroes. We have to put things into perspective. If somebody works, for example, in a sweatshop situation in a third world country, okay. And I mean, it's easy for me to say, yeah, wake up and do all these. I am not in their heads. I don't know what's going on in their brains. I don't know the chemistry. I don't know the anxiety that's all connected to it. But what I'm doing, and I'm not judging anybody, what I'm trying to do with this video is I'm trying to get people to think about it. I want to sow the seed of awareness, sparks of awareness of what you can do. And you can do it, not can't. What you can, what you are able to do. You are able to do things. You are not enabled. That's what I'm trying to say. I want to tell people that they are empowered. They are not unempowered. They just think they are unempowered. They think they can't do anything. There is a lot everybody can do, a lot. And in most people's situations, there's a whole lot more that they can do. Most people are free. Most people are voluntarily going to their jobs, but it's such unempowerment. They think, oh, this is all I can do. I'm not capable of doing more than cleaning, whatever, or sorting out goods, or putting tags on merchandise or something. I've worked in those places myself. I wanted to see how it's like. And it is bad. From the boss all the way to the lowest worker, it is bad. It is, but the boss himself is completely unempowered too. And that's why he does the treading to the bottom, and everybody does the same, treading to the bottom. Whoever they think is below them, they will kick and shovel around and boss around, and they will buckle to the top. They will buckle to the boss. Whoever is on a higher position in that job, they will bend down, they will bow down, they will cater. And this is, I mean, the entire human society is like this. This is a serious problem. This is very, very, very serious. We cannot have this going on anymore. And I'm not talking about communism right now, okay? So I don't want to hear this bullshit. Because communism, that's another system that didn't work. Just another one of those systems. And I don't see democracy working very well either. You know. It's probably the better system than the other ones, because dictatorship, obviously, you have to have a dictator who really knows what he's doing. You have to have a dictator who has the utmost conscience, okay, or things are not going to work out. But usually someone who becomes a dictator is the opposite of that. Or, yeah, politicians, as a matter of fact, usually are dictator type. They're usually those without the conscience. And that's why I'm trying to say, you know, don't buckle down. Don't bow down and think, oh, well, this is all I can do. I can't do anymore. We can't save the world, I always hear from people. That's completely false, that statement. I have never accepted that. I've heard this my entire life when I was a child. It's a false philosophy, because one person can save the world, and it has already happened. Okay, look at Paul Watson, look at Ingrid Newkirk. Those are individual people. What have they established? Look at the history. Look at the last 30, 40 years. What they have established. These individual people. Ingrid Newkirk has established the most powerful animal rights organization worldwide. One single woman from England. Okay, this is how much one single person can do. And Paul Watson, if it wasn't for Paul Watson, we wouldn't have the northern gray whales anymore. They would be extinct already. They would have already become extinct in the late 70s. If it wasn't for Paul Watson, one single person, every one of us can do something. If at least people will stand up against their own opponents. And by that, I don't mean the person who saw their faults. That's not their opponent, that's their friend, actually. Okay? The opponent, I mean the one who suppresses them. That's their opponent. Stand up against your suppressors. That's what you have to do. If you want your lives to be better, and if you want the lives of all living beings, of all animals and people to be better on this planet. Thank you.